starving. Well, I was reading ingredients, asking myself, should I eat this? I was so started starving. I was scratching off silver ink. I was deciding what to drink. I was so
Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2.
Magazines. I was so started starving.
Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for coming out. Beto's going to be standing right here, so if y'all could come in, I know it's a little hot, I apologize, but it's still beautiful out. If y'all could come in and surround, and if you have those signs, that'd be great. If y'all could come in, I know there's a little bit of shade here, but come in all the way. He's going to want y'all really close, like really. I know, it's weird, but he's going to want y'all right there close. So if y'all in the back, if I could have y'all come in, it'll feel a lot closer and he'll feel a lot better. And then we have some space behind me as well, and that would be great. You'll all get a good view, I promise. There's shade over here for people who want it.
Well, I was walking through Ridgewood, Queens. I was flipping through magazines. I was so started starving. I was debating Swedish fish, roasted peanuts or licorice. I was so started starving. I was holding some wadded bills. I was reading that smoking kills. I was so started starving. And I was walking through Ridgewood, Queens. I was flipping through magazines. I was so started starving.
is.
See if it's working. You want to check?
Hello?
Check, check.
Excuse me.
Come stand right over here in the middle here.
Sure.
And here's the sign-in sheet.
Right. Thank you.
And I'll sit right here to give you the 3 minutes.
Okay. Great. You let me know when
You
you're
can give them just a second and then go ahead and get started.
okay.
All right, go ahead. Speak loudly.
Okay, can I have your attention, please? I know what you're looking forward to. But there's a couple of things I want to do before we get started. And the first thing is, let me tell you, my name is Rosie Castro. Some people call me Castro Mom. And that's because I have twin sons, Julian and Joaquin Castro, who are both public servants. Thank you. So the first thing I want to do is introduce to you some of our candidates and public officials that are running for re-election this time around and for election. The first one is my state rep, Ray Lopez. Ray? Great. There he is. Now our Democratic County Chair, Monica Alcantara. And we have Andres Lopez with the SDEC, 25. Back there somewhere. There you are. Hi, Andres. Anyone that I've missed? Hey, Rachel. There's Rachel running for county clerk. Great.
Yeah, we have 2 other SDEC members.
Okay, 2 other SEC members.
Jamie Eichhoff.
Where are you?
Right over here.
Okay,
Jamie Eichhoff.
Jamie, thank you very much.
And then the other SDEC is Robert Vargas.
Robert, thank you, Robert. Okay, thanks a lot. Let me tell you that I am about to turn 75 this year. And I am tired of the piss poor Republican governorship that we've had for too many years. I think that you, like me and like my family, we want a governor that actually cares about us. We want a governor that takes account people's lives rather than the greed and the campaign contributions and the suffering that were caused by the winter storm last year. We want a governor that's going to work for making Texas not the laughingstock of the United States, but we want a governor that's going to make Texas #1 in education. And we want a governor that is going to create housing for all our citizens. And we want a governor that is going to provide health care for all our citizens and expand that Medicaid. And we want a governor who is honest, who is just, who is innovative, who creates policies for our children, for our grandchildren, and for us. And I think you know who that governor could be. Now, let me just tell you one little story. When Joaquin was in the state legislature, every time he was going to be sworn in, we would take a bus of folks that wanted to go see the swearing-in ceremonies. And Julian and I, the first time around, got to sit on the legislative floor with Joaquin side by side. And I got to tell you, that was the most exhilarating time I've ever felt. And that was because for many of our lives, we've struggled to get excellent candidates, to get excellent government. And in that moment, I was so proud that we have fought to have Joaquin elected. And there we were sitting where we were not allowed to many years before. So think of that elation of a mother's pride. Now, for a moment, close your eyes and think of this. Think of the day that we swear in our new governor in Texas. How are you going to feel when you know you work for the new governor in Texas? I think you're going to be as elated as I was to know that you've created a better future for this state. And I want to say this. There are people that are meant, I think, to be great candidates. But it's not only being a great candidate, not only working hard to get there, but it's once you're there to really do the work for the people of Texas. And I think we all know who that person is. So help me welcome, give a San Antonio welcome to Governor Beto O'Rourke.
Thank you. Excellent, excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hey, San Antonio, how we feeling? It is so good to be back with you once again right now. As you know, the very first public event that we held over the course of this campaign was right here with you in San Antonio. In fact, Geronimo at the CWA Hall hosted us on that day. You all came out and welcomed us, told us we were in the right place, doing the right thing with the right people, so that, as Rosie said, we can win this race and make sure that I serve you as the next governor of the great state of Texas. Thank you all so much for once again coming out and making sure that we feel welcomed and supported and encouraged and know that we have the strength to make sure that we're successful. And there is no endorsement that I care more about than that from Rosie Castro. She is a hero, not just to you here in San Antonio, but to all of us across the state of Texas, and for that matter, across this country, because in addition to everything that we know about her, her many achievements, the fights that she has fought for all of us, I learned today that she was one of those young campaigners on our Texas President LBJ's 1964 campaign. And I guarantee you that her work and her effort and her help not only helped him to win the presidency for that first full term so that he could serve all of us, but at the heart of her support was an assurance that he was going to support the Voting Rights Act of 1965 to make sure that every single Texan, regardless of their race or their ethnicity or their language preference or the country from which they came, could fully participate in this democracy. But the signing of that Voting Rights Act in the summer of '65 was not sufficient for Rosie. So over the coming years, she worked tirelessly in this community to support great candidates, to become a great candidate herself with the Raza Unida Party in the early 1970s, to make sure that the franchise was fully opened to every single person, regardless of any difference between us. And the extraordinary diversity that you are beginning to see in elected leadership in this community, across this state, and yes, in this country, is in no small part thanks to Rosie Castro. So Rosie, thank you for your work, thank you for the leadership, and thank you for the encouragement. It means the world to me. So I just got a quick programming note from our team, and it appears that the current sitting governor, Greg Abbott of this state, is also in San Antonio today. And so, of course, we're going to be very polite, just as warm and welcoming, just as kind to him as you all are to me. But I just want to point this out because our friends in the media are here, not the enemy of the people, the best defenders of democracy, if you ask me. And their colleagues are probably covering his press conference right now with so-called business leaders in this community. And I just want you to know this, and I want our friends in the press to know it as well. This governor is not making this state better for business or economic growth or for the employees who drive the success of the companies for whom they work. If you are driving out women because you don't trust them to make their own decisions about their own bodies, and you've placed a $10,000 bounty on the backs of anybody who seeks to help anybody else make their own reproductive health care decisions. That's not good for business in the state of Texas. When you have underfunded our public schools and are attacking our public school educators right now, you're making it harder for us to graduate the competitive workforce that's going to drive economic growth in this state. That's not good for business. When you've rejected over $100 billion in Medicaid expansion that could come to this state to connect more people with more care and, y además, reduce our property tax bills for homeowners and business owners alike, that's not good for business. And listen, when you live in and are the governor of the energy capital of the world and you cannot keep the lights on in a winter storm, that is not good for business either, right? When it got cold in Texas, it was 19 degrees in my hometown, just a little bit to the west of you on I-10 in El Paso. Go El Paso. 12 degrees here in San Antonio. And because this governor did not trust you or the warnings that you had given him about the vulnerability of the grid and the fact that, for example, we had failed to protect the gas supply here in San Antonio and across the state of Texas, when those temperatures plunged and when the cold stayed cold not for hours but for days, we were not able to generate enough energy to power our homes and our businesses and literally our lives. 16 people that we know of died right here in this community in the 21st century, in the 9th largest economy in the world, within the most powerful, politically organized, and wealthy country that the planet has ever known. How in the world could that have happened? And how could, after that took place, we see so much indifference to the changes that we needed to make to prevent it from happening again? I mentioned the gas supply was the primary culprit. And though warned before the February 2021 storm, the governor did nothing, even after the effect, and $230 billion in property damage and economic losses to this state, and all of the death and destruction and the suffering that so many of our fellow Texans endured, this governor did nothing. Now, for most of us, that is inexplicable. We don't understand it. It doesn't make sense, so we cannot connect the dots. But let me help you out here. Those energy CEOs, those people who over the course of 5 days last February, while people were literally dying in their homes, a 75-year-old veteran in Crosby, Texas, who served this country with distinction in Vietnam, freezing to death in his truck as he tried to charge his oxygen tank, an 11-year-old boy in Conroe, Texas, dying under the 6 blankets that his mom had piled on top of him, because even that wasn't enough to keep him alive. These energy companies and energy traders, these donors to Greg Abbott, made $11 billion in profit over the course of 5 days. And when the legislative session wrapped up without a single action taken to require them to weatherize the grid or to prevent that kind of destruction and death again, they turned around and gave them $4.6 million in just the first 10 days after that legislative session. One man whose company made $2.4 billion in February literally wrote Greg Abbott a $1 million check. So when you ask yourself, how in the world could he have failed to protect us going forward into the next extreme weather event? It's because they paid him not to. That's pretty close to a bribe by any definition that I'm familiar with. And so those who robbed us, because they controlled the gas supply and literally the ways in which we were going to heat our homes and keep one another alive, when they made that extraordinary, obscene profit and then turned around and paid Abbott to do nothing, we, all of us, are paying the price. And not just in terms of what we will see during the next extreme weather event, but your own utility right here in San Antonio, CPS, has already had to jack the rates on every single utility payer in this city. You are literally paying the Abbott tax on every monthly utility bill this month, next month, and not just this year, but the projection is every year for the next 2 decades. That was Greg Abbott shutting off this part of the grid right here. All right. We don't know if that was selective grid shutdown right there, but we'll find out. So we are all paying the price for this guy's corruption and his incompetence, measured in lives, measured in dollars, measured in that Abbott tax that you're paying month in and month out going forward until we make a change. And that's why I've asked you to join me today. I want us to gather to commit ourselves to doing what is necessary so that we can always keep the lights on, so that we have a much brighter future in this state, and so that we can focus on the big things that are truly important to us in our lives after we don't have to worry whether or not the electricity is going to work when we need it to. So a few ideas that I want to run by you today. And all of them I want to lead on when I'm governor of this state. First, we are going to winterize and weatherize the gas supply. And who cares what the gas company CEOs have to say about it? We're going to do it because it's going to save the lives of our fellow Texans. Number two, though it got pretty cold in El Paso, the lights never went off. We're not part of ERCOT. We're in the western interconnect of the national grid. When I'm governor, we are going to connect ERCOT and San Antonio to the nation's grid so that when we need power, we can draw it down from the rest of the country. And when we produce more than we need, we can send it back up and sell it for a profit and return the dividends back into this state. Third thing that I'm going to do as governor is instead of asking you to pay this Abbott tax, whatever 20 to 50 bucks additional per month that you're paying to clean up a mess that you did not create in the first place, we are going to send money back to you as a ratepayer to make sure that we help to make you whole because you had nothing to do with this, and to reduce your burden so you can afford to live in this community in your own house and help others who are trying to choose between medication, food on the table, and paying that utility bill. Let's lower rates, especially because this state, under Greg Abbott, has seen the sharpest increase in rates of any state in this country so far. Number four, we are going to pursue justice for the people of Texas. I mentioned those $11 billion. They were stolen literally from us. There is a state statute called the Deceptive Trade Practices Act, and it specifically says that in an emergency or a declared disaster, you cannot charge exorbitant rates for the basic necessities that keep us alive, and specifically mentioned in that statute is the fuel supply. So these folks who robbed us when we were at our most desperate and vulnerable, that $11 billion, I'm going to make sure that we get that money back, and we are going to prosecute anybody who was responsible for the destruction and death that we saw here in Texas. Y por el último, I just saw one of San Antonio's finest as I walked in here to greet you. He, like so many other men and women in this community, take on one of the toughest jobs that we can imagine. In some instances, putting their lives on the line for all of us to make sure that we enforce the law and apprehend those who break the law and send the signal loud and clear that we are a community and a state and a nation of laws, not men and women, but rule of law. That's what defines us and sets us apart from so much of the rest of the world. Well, I'm going to make sure that just like we have a cop on the beat here today, just like we have a cop on the beat for the electricity market to make sure that we honor contracts that are entered into, we're going to appoint an independent market monitor. That is our cop for the gas trade in the state of Texas. So no more will we see highway robbery with complete impunity in this state. Let's hear it for that independent market monitor. Most applause that an independent market monitor has ever received in world history right here in San Antonio. You all are making it happen. Those 5 steps of making sure that we protect the supply of energy, that we send help back to the ratepayer, that we gain justice for those who are wronged and bring that money back to the people of Texas, and that we have somebody to enforce the law going forward so that it is not broken, and so that we send the signal that you cannot break the law in this state with impunity. There will be consequences. There will be accountability. That is how we get Texas on the right track. But When I gave this same prescription of 5 points to the people to your east in Tyler, Texas, they insisted on one more. And they said, Beto, point number 6 is all of us have to vote. Are you with me on this one? Every single one of us. Cada votante en esta comunidad necesita votar en la próxima elección. If we do that, not only do we defeat Greg Abbott, not only do we fix the electricity grid, not only do we help those who were harmed and seek justice for the people of Texas, but we begin to focus on the truly big things that will bring this deeply divided state together, like making sure that the best jobs in America are created right here in the state of Texas. Living wage jobs, so you don't need to work a second or a third job just to make ends meet. We're going to focus on world-class public schools because we're going to get behind our world-class public school teachers and pay them the wages that they are worth. Make sure that we relieve them of the burden of teaching to a high-stakes, high-pressure standardized test like the STAR test so that they can focus on the kids in front of them, their full education and social and emotional well-being, and especially those students with special needs and disabilities who so often get the short end of the stick in our classrooms, not because of the teachers and not because of the people, but because of those in power who have declined to help those out who could most use the help. And then these ideas, expanding Medicaid so that we bring money into the community, connect more people with care, have fewer Texans dying of diabetes, and then legalizing marijuana so we're no longer putting people behind bars for possession of a substance that is legal in most of the rest of the country. Now, these are not Democratic or Republican talking points. They are Texas values. They're the way that we bring people together and unite the Texans who form this state, who are the true grid, who are the true power, who've been the ones who've been not allowed to enjoy the power by those in positions of public trust so far, who we literally cannot trust to keep the lights on when we need it the most. So San Antonio, thank you for supporting in this race. Thank you for being out here with us today. So grateful for the work that you're doing, and I look forward to being with you every step of the way and winning this race with you and for you. Gracias. Thank you so much. What's that?
My baby does the hanky panky.